Sit down, take a two or two, money till we get it. Ball, let it cool, was ain't talking. Money speak, all that bullshit, keep it. Run the side, run the side, run.
We have the three corners of entertainment: Los Angeles, Nashville, and Tulsa. All three of us lined up.
This is where we're at. Who's in that? Are you in Nashville now, JT?
No, I live in Tulsa right now.
Oh, I had no idea.
Oh, yeah, they pay you to live here for a year.
Damn. Ain't bad.
Oh, yeah. This is Robert. I think he said just has to walk away for a second is what he just said, maybe.
Robert, I'll see you in a minute.
Wow, TCB. Well, hell yeah.
What's up, dude?
I
How
think he
are
needs
you?
to poop or something. I'm good, dude. How you doing? Are you where do you live? You live in Santa Cruz?
I'm in Sac, dude. Yeah, I'm back in Sac.
Nice.
Living in that 916, dude.
That's the place to be.
How's everything? How's the Tulsa scene? You doing stand up out there?
I just moved here. I'm doing a show like next week or the 20th. That's like my first. There seems to be like one or like two or three people that kind of book every show here. Really, really small scene. I went to go see like the Rory Scovel show at like the comedy festival.
Yeah.
And then I walked over to like the local show after. And so like I've met some local comics, but I haven't really done a lot of comedy in Tulsa yet.
I feel you, dude. Yeah, my dad's whole family's from Oklahoma.
Oh, whereabouts?
Norman is where my dad went to school at OU. And then, but I think originally like the Tulsa area. He was born in Goose Creek, Texas, which I think is now a place called Baytown. But
yeah.
So yeah, my whole family's from that area.
It used to be called Goose Creek or Gooseneck Creek. What'd you guys call it?
Goose Creek.
That's a cooler name than Baytown.
I know. I don't think Goose Creek exists anymore. Trying to get my hat straight. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, yeah. And we don't publish the video or anything.
Okay, it's just for us.
Hell yeah. My first thought was interview you style. Just kind of ask you questions about, because I don't really know much about you outside of doing comedy in Sacramento.
Right.
You've had an illustrious career over the past, 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, I've had some moments for sure.
Oh yeah.
Gotten close on a bunch of things.
Doesn't that feel great? Oh yeah. There's nothing better than being like, you know what, I'm not going to tell anyone until this happens, and then it doesn't happen. So it's like, well, see, like, tell people now. I'm not sure anyone would believe me. It didn't happen.
Right, I know. You never guess what. Yeah. I mean, dude, when I'm feeling defeated, it's like I've gotten close on some things, but when I really look at it, I've gotten to do so much cool shit that 99% of comics don't get to do. And so, I'm grateful, but still, like, it's hard not to dwell on the shit that didn't happen that could have. So
it's more fun to be rotten. You know what I mean? Like, this whole world's against me. You know what I mean? You were like that. You make more friends. You seem more interesting. Yeah, it's
so true.
It's how I add a little spice to my life.
I know. I guess that's the one perspective is like, I'm trying, being bitter in your day-to-day life is, it's depressing. So, I try as hard as I can to just be like, shit's going fine, regardless. Another day above the ground, What do old rednecks say? Better day.
Well, a lot of stuff we're not going to say on here.
Right.
I'm sure they say a lot of stuff. Johnny.
A lot of stuff that'll get us canceled.
What do old rednecks say? Well, I reckon they have plenty of sayings.
Yeah, they say a lot of things. They say a lot of things, not in mixed company.
That is, I was at a bar in Arkansas like a week ago, and I was like about to leave, and a guy very casually, just because he asked what the number, we were talking about different languages spoken in Oklahoma. He said Vietnamese was a really popular one. He goes, I feel like Vietnamese people are mistreated in Asia. And I was like, absolutely, I'm sure, all types of mistreatment happens to him. I swear to God, he goes, every country has a type of N-word. And I was like, all right, I'm going to leave.
Right, you're like, I'm going to check out of this conversation.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think of being a hero in this Arkansas bar is going to end well for me. And I was like,
Right.
I'm going to leave right now. I was like, it's time to walk back to my little Holiday Inn, and this is the end of this. I hope you have a safe night. I want a safe night. Man. You have a safe night for sure.
Right. I'm going to go see some on the jukebox.
I'm going to go stand over here now.
Yeah, I'm going to see if there's any Cure on the jukebox. Really fuck up this Arkansas bar. Robert, nice to meet you. You're back.
Nice to meet you, Johnny. Yeah, sorry about that. Just my wife Katie came in. She came in and she noticed like our cat had like a cut on the back of his leg. So
Oh no,
I needed to go help her out with that, but we got him patched up.
kitty cat. That's sad.
You know what
He's
happened to the
okay.
cat?
No, like, because she normally works from home, but today, like, she had to go to the office for a meeting. So, the cat just kind of had the lay of the land.
Dude, I totally thought you were like, my cat usually works from home. I was like, man, that cat's amazing. That's crazy. The cat's been cutting again. We've been trying to get her not to. Well, I hope the cat's okay. I love cats.
Yeah, he's not acting weird or anything, and it looks like the cut's already kind of scabbing over. So
okay, probably happened a week ago. You guys just didn't notice it.
Yeah, it could have been that.
Cat's fine now.
Cat's been begging for help for weeks. Took care of himself.
Cat's like, oh, now you give a shit. I see.
Now you notice.
Now you care. When a podcast is on, that's when you care.
You have a fun name for your cat, right, Robert? Giuseppe or something like that?
Yeah, it's Giuseppe Stromboli.
Giuseppe.
So French.
Oh, it's Italian.
Yeah, I know. it's a French cat, right?
Hey, we're not here to cut cloth about race science, all right? We do not draw hard lines for that on the pod. Robert lives in Nashville. I know Johnny from Sacramento. We met like fucking 2010, 2011, somewhere.
Yeah, it was a long time ago now. Like I barely remember a time when JT Kelly wasn't in my memory banks. I don't
imagine a world without you.
I probably met you 2011, maybe 2012. It's been a minute for sure, probably 10 plus years. So
you want to know my first memory of you, Johnny? It's actually something I just remembered that I think is really funny.
That's it.
I remember, so I got a Facebook like within a few weeks of me starting to do comedy because everyone that did comedy told me to get it. They said that's how you meet other comics, how you connect. It's private growth. Okay, I'll do it.
Right.
And then I didn't know how Facebook worked. My second day on Facebook, I get an invite to a comedy show that you're either on or you're hosting.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, maybe like, I don't know, 16, 17, somewhere that. And I was like, Johnny, a real comedian, invited me personally to go see his comedy show. And I was so touched. And I remember I went up and I was like telling everyone like, hey, dude, like this comedian I know actually just invited me to see a show. I was like, he probably sees something in me. He probably wants me to get on stage. Like in my mind, I blew it up and I was like, dude, personal invite from the only comedian I've met in Sacramento. I was like, oh, what an honor. And I went, great show. And I remember kind of showing up and almost immediately realizing like, oh, that's probably just a thing you send to everyone.
Yeah. I mean, there's a learning curve for that Facebook thing.
I was like, boomer.
Takes you a minute to realize that these motherfuckers are just inviting whoever shows up on the suggested invite list. But I'm glad you took that as a compliment and weren't like, why are you spamming my feed with your bullshit invites? Which is what I do now.
Oh yeah, I love doing that.
I've been doing that for 8 years now, where I'm just like, man, don't invite me to your fucking bullshit.
That was probably back in the days before Facebook started cracking down on the mass invite lists too.
Yeah, you can't really do it as much anymore, which is kind of a bummer because, after 10 years, I'm maxed out and a lot of them aren't comics. And like sometimes I just want to invite real people to a show. And what am I going to do? Flyer? Give me a break,
Yeah. I like when people say, can you shoot me a text? And I'm like, you want me to shoot you a text next time I do a show and like check your availability? Like, will you want me to jump on a calendar? Like, I'll do it though. I will write a note on my phone. Half the time it's like, oh, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm like, don't you remember when you said you saw me at that one place and you wanted to see me at the next place? And they're like, oh, weird, drunk conversation. I'm like, oh yeah, no, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Just joking. JK. I think it's funny when people. I'm performing and like you have to send me your avails to come to the show. Like it's not even like, man, either come or don't fucking come. You know what I mean?
I like when people be like, do you have any shows on Wednesday? No, I know, man.
yeah. I usually work the weekend. One thing I love is when people will be like, can I get on the guest list? And then you put them on the guest list for a show. And then they'll text you that they can't make it. I'm like, you could have saved this text. Like, you're either here or you're not here, and I have no control over that. And honestly, I'm really just trying to fill some seats. You know, it doesn't. I don't personally give a fuck if you come. For the most
I remember when I was like 21, maybe I started a show in Austin, and I was like, I brought flyers to my job at a coffee shop, and I left them at work because the next day I was going to come and like hand them out at like different places, maybe to people at coffee shops, walk up down the street, like businesses, maybe people I knew at shops. Like I was like, I'm going to go and flyer around, and I showed up the next day, and someone just thrown all the flyers in the trash and poured coffee on them, so they're destroyed. And I remember just being like, damn, you haven't even seen my act. Like
I know. Wait.
Yeah, you don't have to like it. Not for everybody, but give it a shot. Courtney from work.
Right. Yeah, that's hardcore.
Oh yeah. How long have you been doing stand up for, man?
I've been doing it since 2010, so 12 years, going on 13 years. That's fucking sad. I can't I think sometimes I told somebody the other day, if someone asks you like if you ask somebody how long they've been doing stand up and it's 12 years, they're either going to be fucking amazing or they're going to be absolutely dreadful. There's no in between. It's either somebody that got really good at stand up or somebody that just never knew that they should have quit like 10 years ago. Like,
oh yeah.
Hopefully I'm the latter. The good one and not the real shitty one, but yeah, 12
booked.
Yeah, I'm booked. I gotta say, I probably like just internally I feel probably I'm very good at it right now, but
you get
I'm definitely for it? Yeah, I get the checks usually clear, and that's cool.
Yeah.
I work clubs that the checks clear, so. But yeah, for the most part, like it's weird just thinking back, like, dude, like I used to be so full of hope and delusion. And now I'm just like, I'm getting booked. I'm very tired. But, after the pandemic, it's like, at least we're doing shows again. So, I mean, the pandemic's still happening, but now that no one gives a fuck about the pandemic, at least we're doing shows again.
Yeah, so I never got into like how COVID works. I got the vaccine just because I'm not like
I never got into how COVID works.
Because like the guys that got into it are all people that wanted to like argue and like tell me stuff, and I'm like, man, I'm not really one of those dudes. I'm more of like a nah, just get the vaccine type of dude, like
right.
If it's gonna like do something with my brain, okay, man, I think everything does something with your brain, whatever. But like,
also, yeah, who gives a shit?
Yeah, what am I going to do? Rewrite history? I'm already on some trajectory, baby. I'm having a good time, okay? I'm living. What am I going to do?
Right. I mean, I had a friend that, so I had COVID twice, and neither time was very bad. But I have a friend, and I love the guy, but he's telling me, he's like, I have genuine concerns about, people's health long term. We're going to start seeing stuff after they had COVID. I'm very worried about you. And I was like, dude, don't. Like, I'm not worried, not even 1% about, I'm more worried about heart disease and like old age and the infrastructure of my mouth, things like that. You know what I mean? I'm not as concerned about like long-term effects from COVID. Like, I'm feeling fine now. If I don't in 5 years, then I'm going to cross that bridge when I get to it,
I'll be honest, I never had a shot at the Olympics. You know what I mean? And I'm not being like, oh, no, my shot at the Olympics. You know what I mean? I'm like, Oh, okay. If something happened to my lungs, that makes sense. I smoke weed like every day. Something was gonna happen to my lungs anyways. Like my brain's not like I'm not gonna win a Nobel Prize over here. Okay, I wasn't like rejecting scholarships to follow stand up. All right,
Right. Totally.
not a lot of options presented themselves to people like me. That's the thing is I'm looking for options to present themselves. That's why,
Right.
that's how that happened.
Did either you guys get COVID or no? Did you avoid it?
You know, I've never tested positive for it, but like I'm pretty.
It's like herpes.
Well, yeah.
Honestly, I never tested positive. There's some things that made me believe that I might have had it.
Well, it's just one of those things because there's like some people were coming back with positive tests and getting confirmed cases, but it's like there was no symptoms or like they didn't just feel anything, and it wasn't their depression.
When I worked at Atmosphere, I had to get COVID tested all the time, and one time I got a positive. And so like I was sick and I went home, and then by the next day I had a negative. And I was like, we're doing one every day, and they're like, supposed to be 7 out of 10 or something. And so it's like I think I might have, but at the same time, like it's like, I don't know, dude, if you're sick and you get a positive, it's pretty dumb to say
I don't have it.
Yeah, that's kind of the vibe. But also at the same time, it's like I lived in Austin during the pandemic, and I'll be straight with you, dude. I just didn't know people were doing comedy. I didn't know that people were just still doing comedy. I thought it was like a fringe group of psychos. And so I was like, oh, I won't do it. And then like a year or two later, I started doing comedy. I was like, oh shit, people have been doing this whole time. And honestly, if I would have known, I probably would have done it.
Yeah.
And so it's like probably good I didn't know, because like I for sure, no matter what my opinions are or anything, I probably would have done stand up during like the peak of the pandemic if I would have been offered or known about it.
Yeah, during the pandemic, like the heat of it, it was almost like the rise of the bad at comedy person.
Yeah.
They looked at it as like, well, I'm going to do these shows, and like people were doing shows, and then like established like working comics were not really doing a lot of shows, and they were like, I'm getting booked for shit.
Yeah.
And so when the pandemic ended, like, or at least like masks started to come off and the vaccines were available, a lot of those people were like, what the fuck's going on? It's like, sorry, like the B team had their time,
Yeah.
And like the A team kind of slid right back into a bunch of slots. And I know a lot of people that started during the pandemic just quit. They were like, man, I can't do it anymore.
It's wild. There was like a year where like I only got asked to do like 2 or 3 things, and they were all like dog shit, scary, weird, psycho things. And I was like, no, dude, I don't know you. You've never done stand up in Austin. Like, I'm not gonna do some weirdo show at a bar that's somehow illegally open in the pandemic. Like, get out of here. And then one day, like a good comic I knew was like, I have a show, and I was like, whoa, okay, what's going on?
We're back. We're back.
Yeah. It was straight up like, hey, okay, because at first the only thing in Austin available was like drive-ins, and so it's like you could do comedy at the drive-in, and then from there I just saw it expand. But that was like the entry level to like comics that like I was like, oh, you're like a comic that's like good and you get booked, and like you're not a pandemic second string ass B team ass fucking bizarro version of the comedy scene.
Right. Yeah.
I remember it was drive-in shows. Because I think Jim Gaffigan and like Bert Kreischer were even doing tours like at like either arena parking lots to have a drive-in style show or at drive-ins during the pandemic. But then you also had, because like one of my buddies in New York who's a comic, like they would do like shows in the park or like these rooftop shows.
Yeah. I did one drive-in show. And I did a couple like real fringy, like I shouldn't have done the shows, but they're like, hey, we're doing this little speakeasy, bring your own beer kind of thing. And I'm like, I shouldn't do this, but they're like, oh, we'll pay $200. And I was like, okay. I was like, I'll wear a mask.
I mean, it sounded just like a general house party.
Right. It was those kind of shows, but I did a couple of Zoom shows. A couple of them were good because they were like post-sane, had done them. One of them was I hosted a Zoom show for his CD release party, which was of his metal album. And it was like Scott Ian and like, the guitar player from Fall Out Boy. And I'm like, I can't say no to this. And we ended up having like 1,000 people into the Zoom.
Way better than the Zooms I've done.
Right. And I did a couple that were so shit. I did one where I had, I'm doing this long bit, and right when I get to the punchline, like it cut out, but I didn't realize it. So I'm just like doing the punchline, and then I finish it, and they're like, "Oh, we lost you right there at the end. Is there any way?" And I just turned my laptop off. I didn't even say goodbye. I was like, dude, fuck this. I hate this.
I was getting asked to do Zoom shows by like the same group of Zoom show people. And what was cool is like I got to do with a bunch of small time comics that were like all over the nation. I was like, oh, that's kind of fun. That's like the fun aspect of the Zoom. It's how they're filling it up. But then I did this thing where like when they asked for it to be my turn, I like just stripped down into a banana thong and then pretended like I forgot what set I was going to do and then kind of just turned off my phone. And so like they were like, I thought it was funny. And they were like, yeah, we're done with the Zoom entertainment on your end. And I'm like, there's no way that someone wasn't like, that's the funniest bit of, there's like one person out there that's like, that's what I think is funny. Yeah. Hey, baby, I didn't get a standing ovation in the Zoom show, but I think someone really liked that one bit. All right.
Yeah. I had a couple of jerkers hit the Zoom, and like the person was producing the Zoom was like trying to turn off, and it was during my set. And in the chat, they were like, Johnny, I'm jacking off to you. And at first I was like, disgusting. And then I was like, word? Like, you're jacking off to me? Well, I mean, maybe let him stay. It's flattering. It's flattering.
Yeah, I remember when I was like 16 and 17 on chat roulette, and I remember coming across some guy jacking off, and I didn't click away. And then like he just did his thing to completion, say like 3 minutes. And then he was like, thanks. And he skipped me. And I was like, whoa, you just looked at me until you came. I don't know. I kind of felt like a G. I was like, damn, I'm hot. This guy, this guy wants me, you know?
So there's a certain person out there that sees guys like you and me that are like, I like that.
Dude, early 2000s, like 2011, 2012, there was like a shirt that was popular among like mall moms that was like chubby, bearded, tattooed, and awesome. And it was like just it's like if you're like a chubby, bearded, kind of weird guy that's yadded out, I have a mustache tattooed on my finger for you. I'm in love with you. Like, right, it was just those types of girls were going loco and would ask girls all the time, would come up and be like, oh, can we touch your beard? And it's like, do not let the internet rewrite what's wrong with your brain. I should scare you. Like, I should not think I'm safe. I
know. I never grew this for you. I grew this because I hate looking at my chin in the mirror.
Yeah. I have bad hygiene practice in general. All right. This took less effort than you could ever imagine.
Oh, I'm lazy. That's all this is.
I can tell when it's time to trim my beard where like the level of like dudes that unprompted talk to me about it gets like way too high.
Yeah, you're like, I need to trim.
Yeah, there's this level where guys come up to me or start wanting to like think that that's something we can bond over, and it's like, listen, man, I'm just in this restaurant just like you, all right? I'm just a normal buddy. We're just two normal guys enjoying hamburgers right now. You don't need to know how I take a bite of something or eat soup, okay?
Right.
So you started 2010. You moved to LA, and then did you live in Santa Cruz, and now you're back in Sacramento full time?
No, I never lived in Santa Cruz. I performed in Santa Cruz a lot, but yeah, so I was in Sac for a minute, and then it's my hometown. I love Sac, and then I moved to LA from 2016 to 2019, and I moved back. I broke up with my ex, and I was like, I'm gonna go on the road for 6 months straight. And just like cheap hotels, sleep in my car, and like couch surf. So I did that for 6 months, and it was very glamorous homelessness. Like I ended up staying with like people that had really cool guest rooms, and friends that I hadn't seen in a while. It was actually super cool. So I did that for 6 months, and then I was like, well, where do I go? So I didn't know if I was gonna this was late 2019, and I was like, do I stay in Sac? Do I go to like Denver or Austin or a satellite scene? I knew I didn't want to go back to LA just because it's such a sad place. So I was thinking either Brooklyn or Austin or Denver, Portland, maybe. Just a place that had a cool satellite scene. That was all I really cared about. And I was already, working the road, 10 or 12 weeks of the year with Posehn. And, I have a record deal, so I had another record to make. And I was like, man, like, I don't want to be an actor necessarily, which ironically I've done so much acting in the last year, but, I just wanted to do stand up someplace where I knew I could get stage time and had a airport that had direct flights. So, I ended up, but I was like, man, so I fell in love with this girl who I'm still with, and she's a comic, and I was like, I'll stay in Sac, see where this goes. So, here I am still, but moving out of LA right before the pandemic was a good call because that place got
real.
That place got very, very sad. It got sadder than it normally is.
All those hot people trying stand up to try and boost their acting career. Yeah, right. They're all dead now. Thank God.
Yeah. R.I.P. Rest in piss, bitch.
That's what I've always heard about the LA scene is that you get a lot of the actors that like dabble in stand up and they just kind of muddy the waters because it's like, well, you're not really here to actually hone your craft as a stand up comedian. Like you're here just trying to get attention, and it's like, so you can just have another thing on your resume when you go in for an audition.
Yeah, I mean, and they're awful. I always tell people, LA, it's 100 of the best comics you've ever seen in your life getting up on stage like almost every night, and it's 10,000 of the worst. Like
holding up that stage for them.
Yeah, it's so. LA is such a weird place. So I was happy I moved, and it would take something cataclysmic for me to move back. It'd have to be like, you have to be on a sitcom and it shoots down here. I'd be like, okay. But other than like a huge career opportunity, I'd probably not ever go back there.
It would need to be that move where you can do the move that like a Joe Rogan or even someone of a level is like JB Smooth, where it's like you can just drive up to the club and as soon as you get out, you go on stage, do your 15, and then you're right out.
Yeah. I had, and I was getting decent stage time when I was there, and I would go up and I remember doing some spots on Potluck at the Comedy Store, and then doing a couple of shows that I had friends that would book me for. And the booker was this guy named Adam, and he was like, "You're really good. Like, I love like how you present dark material." And I was like, "Oh, thank you." And like, that means a lot, And he was like, "So, I would suggest you like hang out." And I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to hang out for the late show." And he's like, "No, I mean like you should, come here and just hang out." And I was like, dude, I'm in my 40s. Like, I'm not trying to fucking hang out at the Comedy Store. It doesn't mean it. I understand the romance behind the Comedy Store to a bunch of people. It doesn't mean that much to me. Like, I already work. I don't have to. Carson's not on anymore. You know what I mean? Like, late night spots and stand up comedy mean nearly nothing. Like, it means more to have a TikTok following. I hate to say that, but getting on late night is like, it does so little, and then people get it, and then they won't even use the credit to their advantage. I've had people get on Colbert, and then hit me up and be like, "Hey, I'm trying to get booked over here." I'm like, "You have a fucking TV credit. Like, why are you coming to me? I don't. What? I have a podcast. You know what I mean? I ain't the guy, Make friends. Make friends with people that have more pull than I do,
Make friends with people with really good TV credits.
Right. I've got a couple TV credits, but yours is better, How am I getting work and you're not, is the question.
It's because it's a lot of old buyers in the Midwest.
Right.
The East Coast. It's like, because when they hear Colbert or Conan, it's like, oh yeah, like that's really cool. Like, he's got the vibe check, but then they hear it's like, hey, there's this 23-year-old who's young, dumb, full of cum, JT Kelly, and he's got 1 million likes on TikTok, and he's got like 9 million likes on some of his tweets. And they're just like, what the hell is that crap? Like, isn't that where you go to get canceled? Like, how is he famous there? And they just throw it out, you know?
Right. Yeah. It's comedy's so weird, and it's not for the reasons people act like it is. Like, people act like PC culture is destroying comedy, and it's not at all. It's
No.
you know, I'm dark, I'm super filthy at times, and dude, you can say whatever the fuck you want, but just realize that there's consequences. You know, like, say whatever you need to say, and if people get upset, that's up to them. You know, you've now handed your art over to the listener, and they can react however the fuck they want to it. And if it's with outrage, it's outrage.
My favorite thing is the people that hold that opinion to where it's like, oh, cancel culture's ruined comedy, are never comedians.
Right.
Like, only the cringiest, most annoying
ones.
dad ass. It's the most like fucking like random ass frat dudes that tell me like, oh, dude, cancel culture's ruined comedy. It's like, really, dude? I crushed tonight. I'm a horrible person. No one's ever stopped me from being a bad person, man. I get to do comedy every night of the week. You know, nothing's ever stopped me. Never been the good guy in the story, and I still get to tell the story every fucking night, baby.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, it's so silly.
JT goes on stage every night and tells how he committed a felony and lied to an officer by pretending to be deaf.
Oh, that's a beautiful. To me, that's just a triumph over adversity.
That's how I frame it too, brother.
You got to do what you got to do to survive.
But I mean, you know, being able to tell those stories and get laughs and, you know, a crowd engaged for like 20 minutes, like, you can't say that cancel culture is ruining comedy.
Right. You know, I mean, maybe it's how people present it, you know? It's maybe people present their bullshit with such a hateful tone, or with such a cringy, disposition, that people are just like, just do your stand-up with some humility and some humanity, and you could get any story about any subject across. You know, I'll get off my soapbox.
No, I like your soapbox. I that's something I'll never understand. Is like, I've always, and like, maybe I'm not best friends with all types of people, like across the political spectrum and from every different backgrounds of life. But like, generally, if you're in a crowd, my goal is to make you laugh wherever you are. You know what I mean? And like, if you can't make a certain type of person laugh, honestly, dude, either side, like, if your jokes conservatives can't bang with at all, I'm like, dude, you're probably not like as funny as you think you are. Then, you know what I mean?
You're probably being a little too preachy.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I've seen so much applause comedy in the past couple of years to where it's like, yeah, dude, I agree. Yeah, you're saying, oh, dude, yeah, hey, buddy, I agree. Hey, you don't need to make a goof about how some people don't agree, man. Everyone agrees with you, buddy. You know what I mean?
When people get a bunch of applause breaks, I always call it a feat. I'm like, it wasn't really a joke. It was a feat. You know, it was a bit constructed to get the crowd to all agree with you at the same time, so they clap instead of laugh. I'm like, give me people dying in the aisle all day over, 15 applause breaks. You know, you're not there for applause.
The audience.
Yeah.
I'll like never forget this like open mic, like maybe like 8-9 years ago in Austin at Empire Control Room, where like sometimes, you know how like students at a comedy class have to like host an open mic or something, or do an open mic. So like this was an open mic with a revolving host of people that have taken a comedy class.
Oh yeah.
And this girl, awesome. I remember this girl hosted, and she got up and she was just like a young, like indie-ish white girl, whatever. This is like fucking, 2014, whatever. And she immediately just goes, so white people, and then points the microphone like away from her, like she's waiting for people to go white people with her. And it's
wow.
Homegirl, we don't know what you're gonna say about white people. I don't know if you know what you come off to us. But we don't know, like, we have no clue where this is going. You don't have the context you think we have right now.
What a crazy open-ended question. She's like, white people, the master race, am I right?
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, hello. I'm not on board yet.
White people, arm yourselves. We had no clue.
Right.
Time is now.
And
Right.
she hosted the whole open by getting drunker and drunker and kept trying to not just open to questions either, but just like very blanket statements. And it was just the most like, damn, in your mind, you're in a room of people that it's like, hey, we're all smart, fun comics. We're all sick of white supremacy in comedy. And
Right.
that's what we're all joking about right now. And just zero content. Because, hey, there's a way to make that super funny. White people making fun of white people. That's not as cringe as you can make it just right out the gate, right? Like, anything's fun. But it's just like the context that she gave us, which is just like, hey, dude, you guys ready to be on my team?
Right. I love that she was cocky about it, too.
Yeah, that's how you got to hit the stage, baby. I bet she's crushing now. It's like 10 years ago.
Yeah, she's probably, she's
Probably still taking that class.
Yeah, she probably isn't. Let's be real.
She's teaching the class now.
It was
Yeah,
a pass-fail class.
yeah. I teach a storytelling class, and I always say, this class isn't graded, but it's pass or fail. And this last run, somebody was like, "Well, how do we know which one we are?" And I was just like, "Oh, you'll know.
You'll know.
You'll know." Yeah, I think it's interesting when this is adjacent to what you're talking about, JT. But I was watching Eliza Schlesinger, just the trailer. I don't have the wherewithal right
I watched
now.
the whole special, brother.
I don't have the wherewithal to watch it yet. And I've opened for Eliza a couple times, and I think she's funny. But just the trailer when she's like talking about going on vacation and all these, she's like, oh my God, there's these beautiful girls. And they're like, we're from Michigan. And I'm like, are you that, like, do you have that little self-awareness to realize like you are that you're like this beautiful, like you have a wonderful life. Like you're rich. You get to do whatever the fuck you want. Like you're not like, they're you. You're at the same place as them for a reason,
Yeah.
Like it's.
I was at the country club the other day,
No.
and this absolute out of touch woman.
Yeah, I'm just like, you didn't happen upon Belize. You know what I mean? Like,
You weren't waiting for a bus in Aruba. You went there on purpose.
right. You got on a plane from Hollywood. Yeah, it's. But yeah, just the the new 23-year-old white girl comic being like, white people. It's like, yeah, you are one, and you are the oppressor.
Yeah.
So
Your
you
parents
better
know you're saying this?
you better
Have
figure
said this
that
in front of your parents.
right. You better figure this out because it's give us context immediately, or I'm assuming the worst.
White people. Okay.
What's next?
We're good. Hey, we're chill.
Yeah.
Everyone be
Yeah.
easy in here. We don't need any type of issue like you're doing right now.
Right, it's very strange.
Man,
So yeah, I live in Sac again.
that's tight.
Hella tight, dude.
That's hella tight. I love Sacramento. I miss it all the time. I do stand up every time I'm there, and every time I'm there, it gets better and better. It's
Great crowds, great comics. Sac is such an underrated scene. It's a super diverse city, which people don't realize as that, we have literally all types of people in Sac. And it's fucking, Sac's a great scene. I'm happy I came up in it. I'm going back to Austin soon. I was just there. I was just there, but I'm going back again.
I did a show there like 3 weeks ago, but I haven't been back yet.
I did Vulcan Gas Company with Brian Posehn. So we did 5 shows there, and it's definitely like we usually do Capital City when we're there, but they weren't like fully 100% back yet. And so we did this other one, and it's very like the Rogan crowd is there. Yeah. It wasn't the traditional like Austin crowds that Posehn usually draws, and they treated us amazing, and the shows are super fun, but it was definitely like a different vibe. Have you done that one?
No, it's fun. I was actually just about to say, like, they're people that haven't seen comedy in Austin before. When they say, "Oh, you do comedy? Do you do Vulcan?" And I'd be like, "Oh no, I haven't done Vulcan." And that'd be kind of like the measurement for them to see if I was a real comedian.
Oh,
It's like,
wow.
oh, if you don't do the room that Rogan does.
Well,
Yeah.
Wow, the vibe.
it's funny because the Vulcan Gas, like that room used to be a dance club before the pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
I think they still do that kind of shit too.
Oh yeah.
I think there was a rave right after one of our shows.
Oh yeah.
But
It's funny. I thought they were going to close down because you make so much money doing raves, but I think they like it so much they just do the raves later now.
Yeah, it's come in at 2.
Yeah. It's
but
wild.
I'm going back November 5th and 6th, whoever's listening in Austin. I'll be headlining the Velveeta room.
Nice.
Which is one of my favorite rooms. And it looks like I dropped by last time I was in town, and it looked like the crowd was a little light. I'm guessing the 6th Street comedy competition is heating up. Because
a lot of comedy on 6th Street. You got fucking Creek right there and Vulcan right there now.
Yeah, it's got to be tough on a weekend to make it happen when you don't have like super huge headliners. So we'll see. I'm hoping we get a crowd, but if not, at least I'm in Austin and doing stand-up.
Nice. I'm sure you'll crush there. Every show I've seen there in the past year has had a good crowd.
Cool. I'm stoked.
Hell fucking yeah. Well, I'm glad you plugged your show. What else can we plug for you? We're kind of wrapping up. We're at like 45 minutes.
Yeah, so just follow me on the things at Hipsterocracy on Twitter and Instagram. Go listen to my albums. I got 2 of them, Bumming with the Devil and Tangled Up and Plaid, all on Stand Up Records. You can find them on Spotify and Apple Music. They used to play me on Sirius XM, but due to the songwriting issue between whatever fucking group is fighting for our songwriting rights, Sirius has taken me off for now, but I hope to be back on there soon.
Giants?
Yeah, Talking Giants. That's what it is. So yeah, I'm all mixed up in that shit. So we'll see what happens. But and then when does this come out?
Monday, I reckon.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I will be in at the Sandman Comedy Club with Brian Posehn, October 20th through the 22nd. If you're in Richmond, Virginia, come see me there. Santa Cruz Hotel Paradox on the 27th. Greater Purpose Brewing on the 28th. I will be at the Neptune Theater October 30th with Melissa Villasenor in Seattle, Washington, and then at the Hawthorne Theater on Halloween night with Melissa Villasenor in Portland. So come see a show.
You got a lot of good stuff coming up, Playboy.
No, I'm doing things.
A true road warrior.
Yeah, oh,
Soldier.
man, it's gonna kill me.
Swerve, the rims is glistening. They got see the wood cause the top is missing. I sleep on dreams cause it's paper I'm chasing. My roots come from Texas, this inflation. On the side, on the side, one the side, on the side, on the side, on the side, on the side, one the side, one the side, one the side, one the side.